Well, welcome to this really special episode of Did She Really Say That? Powered by the Creator Method. And you can learn more at thecreatorplanner.com. I am your host, Katrina van Oudheusden, joined by two amazing business partners and friends, Hillary and Heidi. You guys will get to hear their voices today. So, Heidi, if you can say hi real quick so well, we'll get into that later. So Creator is a female intelligence methodology that helps women balance their busy lives while scaling their business in true alignment. Rather than pushing productivity or forcing balance, Create Her method helps women unlock awareness, honesty, and capacity-based planning so that women can grow their business that feels sustainable, spacious, and even self-honoring. Through the proven female structured planning practices and business growth strategies, women are learning to relate to themselves better with time and money, helping them grow their businesses. So, unlocking their unique feminine intelligence cycles. And you can learn more about this at thecreateherplanner.com. So, I'm excited for today's episode. So, quickly, Heidi and Hillary, if you can just introduce yourself to your audience so when they hear you speak, we kind of have an idea of what voice goes to what name.
This is Heidi's voice.
Hi. And what do you do inside the Creator Method?
So I help women to craft their finances so that they're realizing profit in their business today, not just at the end of the year. And also that you are with an effective cash management system, that you are increasing your paycheck, your owner's comp, whatever you want to call it, your owner's draw, to yourself, so that your business is serving you. You're not just serving your business.
I love that. And then we have Hillary joining us. So Hillary, talk about your role here with us and what has you join us here today on this podcast.
Well, everyone, I'm Hillary. You hear me good? All right.
Yes.
In my role, I help identify where those leaks are. So it kind of works hand in hand with the finances, because most times in operations, we spend money on operations and we want to make operations very effective. So that's my main role here, and I'm joining here today because I'm excited about this. I have three girls, so this podcast and the theme that we're talking about is very near and dear to my heart as a mother, female of three females.
Yeah, so what makes today's episode so unique is that we have partnered up with Podathon. Is that it?
Podcaston.
The hard word.
Podcaston. Every year, or at least I believe once a year, twice a year, they get together and they ask the podcasters across the globe. So we're one of 2,500 podcasters that are bringing recognition to different charities that are near and dear to our heart. So this podcast episode is dedicated to the charity of the Period Project. And for us, this is really important because this is often in an area that's overlooked, even for myself. When we started building out the Create Her method and we started looking at what makes women unique and how we think and how we grow businesses and how it differs from what the men have gifted us in terms of structure and education, we said, hey, there's something about this menstrual cycle that we have that's our untapped genius. And it's actually our feminine intelligence cycle, which is what the Creator method is built around, teaching women how to grow and build, because we all want that time and financial stability. And yet the methodologies that we've been taught to grow our business have us in heavy productivity, heavy always doing something, and then we get burnt out and we're struggling. So the Creator method really is that female business model that we've all want in our business, but no one's been teaching us until now what that really looks like for a female. So let's talk about the Period Project and why this is such an important one that we all agreed upon. It says if we're going to be gifting and charity, and we do this every month, this has always been built into the core of this business since day one. We've always been giving, and it's part of our charitable donations is like, this is every product that sells, every coaching, every planner that sells, a contribution is put into charity for this project specifically.
Yeah.
So Heidi, you want to talk a little bit about this project?
Well, yeah, so this project helps to provide what we think are normal, necessary, everyday products that we use every month and never really thought about, and they said it's like when people donate things to food banks or to different organizations that hand things out to the unhoused, the feminine products are the least donated item.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. And that kind of blew me away because it was just like, these are things that we just take for granted. As a regular, it's like you buy them, you take them for granted, never thought a whole lot about them. They're not like hundreds of dollars. I mean, we're talking about, $10, $20, but it's that adds up every month when you're thinking about that. And it's like, and people who are unhoused or those who are living below the poverty level, which we have, it's not just third world countries, ladies. This is here in the United States. If you're listening, this is happening here in the United States, and more than 20 of the 50 states are still taxing these items like they're luxury items.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hillary's got something to say about this. Hold on. I just saw, you guys didn't see the look, but she's like, what? So, yes.
So that, I mean, it does shock me that in a country like we're a developed country, and shocks me that something that is who we are. It's not like I made a choice to have a period. This is how I'm born, and you're
Right.
gonna tax me for that?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, not just tax you, it's a luxury tax.
It's a luxury
It's a
tax.
It's a
luxury.
luxury. It's a
It's like,
luxury for you to not bleed all over the chairs that you're sitting on.
and it really, like, I mean, it makes you think that, okay, so like the people who, the cost alone, the cost is the cost, right? And I'm grateful for these type of organizations, because last weekend, ironically, we went to this art show with it was dedicated to art around women. And there was, I don't know if it was the Period Project, but there was an organization just like that handing out period supplies for young girls and women, right? And it's because building that awareness that this is something that's needed, as you said, like in the food pantries and everything. Yeah, they donate green beans, they donate peanut butter, they donate, but never would anybody think about donating
Feminine products.
feminine products.
Hygiene
Yes.
But it's
Hygiene,
a real, I
yes.
mean, it's something that if you don't have it, it's going to seriously affect your quality of life. It's going to
Yes.
affect girls going to school. It's going to affect like people being able to go out and get a job, because if they have to take off a week every month
Month.
because they don't have supplies to like to be able to go out in public, I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's scary too, because, well, it's interesting as I was reading through the Period Project, going back through the website, because they're updating all the time for what they do. And a lot of times, those that are unhoused, they're allowed to bring one set of clothing in. And as a woman, when we bleed, that clothing gets dirty quickly, and there's no way to clean that. So now you're wearing a wet or something like that. So it does affect our overall mental thinking. There's a lot of shame and blame around having a period. There is this need to hide that we're women, which I think is what we're really advocating for inside of the Creator Method, is like embrace this amazing cycle that we have, and let's remove this shame around what it is to actually have a menstrual cycle, for those lucky enough even to have it, right? So
Yeah.
I thought I just want to read from here what they advocate for. So you guys ladies, are you okay if I kind of share this a little
Yeah.
bit? Okay.
Go for it.
So the Period Project is, we advocate on behalf of the menstruators everywhere for access to menstrual hygiene products and to eliminate the taxation of these basic needs. In 35 states across the United States, menstrual hygiene products are taxed. The Period Project works with local, state, and federal officials to provide information, seek support, and lobby for change. We have found that often government officials have not considered the fact that menstrual hygiene products are a basic necessity still being taxed. In most public schools, these products are not readily available in the same way that soap and toilet paper tissue or toilet tissue are. They come with a cost that supersedes the monetary transaction and often carry a social stigma on the price tag. No state or federal agency provides or discounts menstrual hygiene products. Not one. There's no discount on any feminine product. Okay. In South Carolina, headquarters of the Period Project, they even profit from them. South Carolina imposes a tax on sanitary products at the full 6% sales tax. The state has a lengthy list of tax-exempt items for state-free weekend, including purses, riding wear, ballet shoes, diapers, and adult incontinence products, but menstrual hygiene products are not taxed exempt.
So it's optional then. So it's optional that we can have our period. That's what they're saying.
But an incontinence pad, so if I have like if I have to pee or something like that, that's tax free. But what I actually need for me is not.
Yeah.
So the impact is extensive and insidious. In the United States, a survey found that 20% of all students miss days of schools each month during their cycle. Unable to afford enough pads, students leave school early or miss days entirely. The average woman needs somewhere between 10,000 and 6,000 pads in her lifetime. I saw eyebrows rise. There's a big pause
Yeah.
over here because eyebrows went up, right?
Yeah.
So the Period Project advocates legislators around the urgency to obtain menstrual hygiene products tax-free or at a discount or pro bono rate, depending on need. We believe that through legislative action and education, we can inspire change. Help us change the world. If you're passionate about changing government, influencing educators, and making the world more equal and a place to live for all menstruators, join as a volunteer. So they have a whole thing about what they're going for, but we talked about like if you're still taxing us at the highest rates to be able to have access to a product that, we need every single month, that is important to us. That is part of understanding that we are human beings in this world. And this isn't like
You think of luxury items, you think of, going out to dinner. You think of eating out. You think of a high end or like
a luxury car, luxury couch.
You
like
think of, but this is something that if you don't have, it completely alters your life.
Yeah.
Every month.
It does. Every month. Yeah.
And it's just like, so, but the thing is, and yeah, that just bewilders me because you think of things like that in like undeveloped countries, like maybe, but it's the fact that it happens, it's a worldwide issue. It's not just, yes, the undeveloped countries have this issue also, don't keep me wrong, but it says the fact that it's happened simply here in the United States. And it's like what I love about the Period Project too, they make it very easy to help people out. They even have an Amazon wish list for those who all those online shoppers, they got you. So it's like, but also I think it was like, bring to awareness. It's like the food banks around you, the churches around you that give out to the communities. Not do they own, they need food, they need clothing, but this is something that they could also very much use. And it would very much, it would add to somebody's life to be able to have something like access to that and not be shamed for it.
And not, yeah. Recently I did, and you're saying that recently I spoke with someone that they do access a food bank, and they were able to get period products from that food bank, but not from others, right? But that's the thing where it's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Diaper, because you're not thinking, okay, this is something that's every day. Many of these places, they will do diapers for babies, all right, or formula. I don't know if they still do formula, but anyway, right. But I think one of the biggest things that I see with Period Project is just building that awareness, because it is something that you can't forget. Women don't ever forget it because it's an every month thing. And with 3 daughters, one having already started, and it's something that you're now going to be constantly thinking about, right? Just to have that awareness, it's not as daily. It's not a daily purchase like eggs and bread, but it is something that is an every month. It's on your grocery list or on whatever list you're on, that you have to buy and access, right? And as Heidi said, it really only when, because I'm out of my cycle, right? But only when I saw it happening with my daughters, I was like, oh, yes. We've got to do this again. It's kind of like, as a parent, you're buying Pampers, and then one day you don't need to buy Pampers again. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, other people do need Pampers, so that, when donation comes around, you're like, okay, there are people with babies. Let's buy Pampers for them for donation. And it's the same thing for women, because, we start early and it just keeps going. As you said, 10,000, did you say 10,000 a year? In their lifetime?
Their lifetime was on average. Some will go through more.
More, yes.
I'm sure it's a range.
Yeah.
Yes,
10 to 16,000 pads. And you look at like the impact that makes. The ability to go out in public, right, is a big piece behind that. So I've heard stories of women that have taken the stage and done things and they've come off and like, oops, started my period. Like we don't think, but we can get access, we can change clothes. There's times out there when that's not readily available. And one of the things I also want to make sure that we talk about too is that, we talk about the period as women as a shame and blame, like it's unnatural that we bleed or we've been told that it is. But what we are now discovering, and really what we talk about inside the creator method, is the feminine intelligence cycle that goes along with that bleed every month. And oftentimes this is the overlooked conversation because when I asked a room how many of them they knew, like there was a room of 100 women recently, right? And so I asked this room of 100 women, like, how many of you have heard of the circadian rhythm? And everyone's hand goes up, like, circadian rhythm, yes, we all know about that. I said, great. That's the male intelligence and hormonal cycle. Does anybody know the infradian rhythm? 4 hands. One of them was because I told her previously. So now technically I have 3 people that I've never met before raise their hands and say, yes, this is a room full of highly educated, wealthy women. And only 3 of them knew about their infradian rhythm and how much it supports their day-to-day livelihood, how much it leans into their ability and their capacity to take care of themselves, take care of their family, take care of their business, take care of their money. And I think that's why we solely embrace and love this period project, because this is part of that female intelligence cycle. There's actually a lot that happens during your period as women that are menstruating during this time. They actually say that during this time period, which is going to be really interesting to watch your daughter as she goes through this, but they say during the menstrual process, the left and right brain of women have more connective and creative activity between left and right hemisphere than any other time. Yeah, Hillary's got something to say about this.
So I was going to ask you a question, because knowing the method that we teach, right, and understanding that there are women, girls, teenagers who aren't able to attend school, because how does that impact their, like, knowing the cycles, because we know the cycles, and when they aren't able to attend school or work, whatever the case may be, because of a lack of access, how does that impact it? Knowing what we know about what happens to your body during that time, the cycle.
Well, it's really interesting because that time period is such a time of reflection and a time of like planning almost like the next phase of your life, your week, or the next month. So when we miss out on school, we miss out on that time to reflect or educate or really refine our thinking during those days, because that is when our brain is really like, we're not doing high activities, we're doing a little bit lower energy, but we're missing out on all that time, all that thinking and all that genius that's available to contribute and give back in the workplace, in the schools, and that higher level of education that we could be actively engaging with and participating in. So we miss a lot of participation around that. Because when our brains are at that level of thinking, we always say women seem to mature faster than men. This is one of the things, this is my theories, and one of the reasons that this happens is because of this unique phase in our cycle. And the fact that we can use this to expand looking, like we start looking in what I call the 360-degree method, right? We actually are sitting in and like, oh, but if we do this, this happens. Like, how many women that are listening probably know like the domino effect? Like you say, if I do this, this is going to happen.
Yeah, you already know, and you already know it. Yeah,
and you can pretty much predict that that's what's going to happen. Like, if I move this thing, or if my daughter doesn't do this, or if this happens in my business, this is the ripple effect it's going to cause.
Yes.
You're looking at me like I'm speaking a second language.
No, that's right. But when she first asked that question, my first thought was, in an ideal world, that during that menstrual cycle, to take some time away from what you're doing on a daily basis is really, and giving yourself that grace, that time to go take a nap, to step away from the busyness of life, and the time to reflect. And so in the ideal world, it would be great if a girl could stay home from school or not go to work. That's why, I mean, it's like Hillary right now is homeschooling. I homeschooled my daughter, my 3 kids. I didn't understand this cycle back then. I wish I did. But I think in the ideal world, it's like you can, but not be in an ideal world. You do need to go to school because you will miss out on whatever is being offered. But at the same time, having that time to understand that this is kind of a time to reflect and a time to evaluate and a time to see it's like what is going right, what is going wrong, and how can and what impact can I have on it being different.
Yeah.
I,
And I
I
think,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think, one of the things with that is that understanding where you are in your cycle, that education is missing, especially for younger girls, but also knowing where you can contribute. Because even in reflection time, you can still contribute powerfully in the workplace. So it's not, it's not, yes, you have to monitor your energy levels, I think, during your cycle, but you contribute differently at different
Yeah.
times. And if you aren't there, you can't do that type of contribution
Right.
during the type of contribution that you will be able to give during your period is not going to be the same when you are at another stage in the cycle. Right.
Yeah.
And
If
if you're
you're
not able to be there, then you miss out on that type of contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something also, and I kind of tying into both of you now that I kind of reflecting on as we're having this conversation. I mean, what would it look like if we gave grace for women to take like a half day off, but we did the same for men? Because what we have also discovered is that men do have a slightly different type of infradian rhythm within their circadian. They're led by their circadian and are influenced slightly by their infradian, where women are infradian influenced by circadian, right? Because we live within that 24-hour clock. So there's a sense that if we as women understood our intelligence cycle, our hormonal cycle as women, that we understood that we have high creative thinking, we have high communication, we have high productivity, but then we have rest, which is the menstrual piece, right? If we actually understood how to work through a problem, work through a project, work through a money, work through a business strategy, work through that cycle, we would get more done. I found that I get more done. I actually get more done when I follow that energetic cycle. I'll open a project and I'll close a project in 30 days instead of trying to drag it out, right? So I think that part of this is, if women had access to the female hygiene products, and I know this is changing all the time. So a couple of things I do want to bring up around the feminine hygiene products. So what's been interesting is they've recently done a study within the last couple of years, and all of our tampons and pads were never tested with female blood. So the capacity in which they say holds our menstrual cycle actually isn't true.
It was like they can't really know it to be true.
Yeah.
They're guessing.
They were using liquids like water and such to test it. So there's been some new evidence as we are inside of this. This is where I want you, for those that are going to be donating to the Period Project as women, my request also is see if we can find more organic products. There's a lot of organic product, a lot of things like that. There's a great woman out there that sells period panties. I think it's Flower Girl. That's an entrepreneur that we met that, there's talks about, making sure that you have your bleed all together, that it's not just holding it by a tampon against your body. There's a lot of research and studies coming out around this. And I invite you to really dive into the Period Project, dive into some alternative ways for us women to protect our health, because that is our health.
Yes.
Right? It's not a shame and blame. It is part of our intelligence cycle. It's part of our energy cycle. It's our hormonal cycle. It's how we interact with the world. And we've been taught to shut it down, close it down, too emotional, too everything, too much, but not enough. Right?
Yeah.
So
too much, but not enough.
You're too much, but you're not enough.
So you did mention donating to Period Project. Where can they go?
So if they go to periodproject.com and they head over there, you can go on there. So they're actually looking for volunteers. And then towards the bottom of the donation page, there's a donation button on there. You actually have a wish list for Amazon, like we said.
Yeah.
So they've got pads, they've got generics, they've got everything. So you can help them by buying products on their wish list. So, but donations are accepted, volunteers are requested to help get these products out to your local communities. They are looking for women that want to start chapters in their local communities so that we can continue to bring awareness, so that we can have women advocating for women. I think that's one of the big things that I love seeing around this project is really saying, let's stop taxing us as a luxury. Let's allow us to get access to our basic hygiene that we need as women. And let's open up this conversation around really how powerful our infradian rhythm is as a woman and how it shows up throughout our seasons of life. So before we have our menstrual cycle, during our menstrual cycle, and post menstrual cycle, that infradian rhythm still lives within us as women. It's what makes us unique. And that's really why we're here having this. So I just wanted to, any last words, any thoughts as we wrapped up this episode?
No, this was good. This was
I love
good.
it.
Okay.
Donate.
Donate.
Project. Donate.
So if you guys click the link down below in our show notes, this is going to take you to our website. On there is going to be all the information about the Period Project, what we've talked about, how you can donate. Some of even our recommendations, Heidi, if you don't mind, around some of the more hygienic products and even maybe the flower panties or the
yeah, I mean, there are companies out there that make underwear that acts like a pad. I mean, it's basic, and there's also the reusable cups that some people use. There's also some reusable products that are more organic and natural, so that we're not, filling the landfills like they do with diapers.
And we're not inserting chemicals into our bodies.
And not inserting chemicals, because they have been. I know it's like when you use the tampons, especially that have a lot of the chemicals, it actually makes you bleed more, so that you use more products. And it's really bad for your whole system in general. We're not going to go into all of that, but definitely encourage you to look for things that are more organic, more natural, and possibly even reusable.
Yeah, this was such a great episode. I'm so glad that podcastathon, yes, podcastathon is hosting this. I love the fact that all these podcasters are out there creating awareness around different charities around the globe. They have a French version, they have a US version, they have a Spanish version. So I really love that we got to be a part of this and asked. So it was not something we're not getting paid to do this episode. There's nothing around that one. This is just us giving back continuously to this charity that's near and dear to our hearts, and just the impact they're making and how they're supporting women and what we experience. So yeah, you can learn more about the Period Project on their website, learn more about the Create Her method and how we're using this to help women scale businesses, ensure your wealth legacy, and make a difference in the world through that process of your business. So thank you everyone for joining us. And like I always say at the end of a podcast, if you heard something on here that you think another woman needs to hear, share it, right?
Yeah.
This is not a silent conversation. This is not for your ears alone. This is about creating exposure, meeting women in business, hearing about the Create Her method, and just learning like how this impacts us as women and the difference it makes when we start embracing this infradian rhythm and the Create Her method in your life. So thank you, Hillary and Heidi, for joining me on today's episode. This is kind of our one cool one-off. But I'm excited for this, and I look forward to just, all the cool things that are going to be coming our way, and really invite you guys, honestly, listeners, support, help out, and really create awareness around this. It's a bigger issue than we give it credit for. And when we raise together, the world is a magical place.
Awesome.
So with that, thanks for listening to Did She Really Say That? The answer is
yes, we did.